right, we just got a couple more videos left of this prediction series, and today is a very special one, conference championship picks. So in the Power Four, you're going to have a good idea of who's going to be in the college football playoff that I'm going to present to you on Friday. In the group of five, we're going to talk through all of the potential contenders for that playoff spot. Let's get into it. Before we do, real quick, if you end up liking the video, like the video because it would help me a ton as far as getting views and getting eyes on these videos. If you like the video, it's really, really impactful and it doesn't cost you anything. And certainly subscribe for more college football content. You can also find me over here on TikTok. We talk about all this stuff. The American Athletic Conference. I like Navy coming out and running through the first 8 games before they play Notre Dame. And I think they're going to be matching up well to beat USF and Memphis to close the year against a Tulane team that's going to kind of limp their way to this point. I don't think this is going to be a classic good Tulane team, but I think they're going to get better as the season goes on. John Summerall seems to do that. Give me the Tulane Green Wave to upset Navy in the conference championship. I'm very high on Navy this year. I think they are a playoff contender, but I think that this would be the wrong matchup to get. You have a disciplined team with a great coach that always seems to have a really good defense in John Summerall. So give me the Green Wave out of the American. 9-4, probably not going to cut it for the playoff. We move on to the Conference USA. This is a very familiar matchup. Western Kentucky, Maverick McIver coming in from the FCS ranks. I think that their defense is going to be a concern this year for sure, but I think it's going to be solid enough to where that offense could carry them to the conference championship, where they're going to be playing Liberty, who's a mainstay in this conference championship game. Their schedule's not all that brutal. I have them going 11-1, but I think that they have some decent out-of-conference games as far as the group of 5 goes. I think they're going to be dependent on how good James Madison is. If James Madison can boost up that resume, they need another team in Conference USA. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to get that because I have Western Kentucky down here at 8-4, but I got Liberty winning this game, improving to 12-1, giving themselves a shot at the college football playoff. Moving on to the MAC. Guys, I am very high. For whatever reason, I am very high on Buffalo. Take a look at their conference schedule and tell me that they're not going to be favored in every single game. This requires an upset against Minnesota for them to get to this point. 11-1. They're going to play Toledo. But again, I have another upset here. I just think Toledo's the more solid program, well-rounded, and I think Toledo is going to win the MAC, go to 10-3. Next up, we got Boise State, San Jose State out of the Mountain West. Boise State's still going to be really good. And I think people are sleeping on Boise State a little bit, but they're going to have a pretty solid defense. They're still going to be able to run the ball. If you don't know who Dubar is, their replacement for Ashton Jeanty, watch him in the first couple of weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun for you. They open up Thursday night, by the way, at 5:30 Eastern. So if you're like me, you're going to get home from work, boom, that game's on. San Jose State, I am very, very high on, but I am worried about the ceiling of this team. I don't think it's super high. They gave Boise State fits last year, though. I think the San Jose State team, though, will fall just short. Boise State, for a second consecutive year, wins the Mountain West, goes to 12-1, and San Jose State just falls short of a very magical year 2 with Ken Niumatalolo. And then final group of 5 conference, the Sun Belt. I got 9-3 Louisiana. I had them with a tiebreaker over 9-3, both 6-2 in conference, Southern Miss. I think that Louisiana is going to beat Southern Miss. That is going to be the game of the year out of the Western Division. And then I got Georgia Southern. I can't wait to watch Georgia Southern play James Madison, but this Georgia Southern offense can really fly. They're good. Soar like some Eagles out there. This is a tough game to predict, but I think the higher ceiling here is with Georgia Southern. Again, I think Southern Miss has a very good chance of being here, but Georgia Southern is the safest pick to win the Sun Belt. I think the Eagles will soar high and win the Sun Belt and get 10 wins. All right, so that does it with the group of 5. Obviously, the contenders here are Liberty and Boise State. And if you really look at it, will Boise State have a better resume than Liberty? That type of debate is what is going on right now behind the scenes, and who is going to be that group of 5 team to make the playoff. I was on Navy. I don't love the dynamics of it all. And I kind of like Buffalo, but I don't have enough confidence to see a MAC team make the playoff. So Mountain West, you got Boise State and then Liberty, 2 teams who have been in New Year's Six Bowls. At least Liberty's been to 1. 2 teams contending for that playoff spot. Now, if you haven't watched the Power 4 previews, we have done all 4 conferences. It's attached in the playlist that this video is on. Make sure you check those all out. We're going to get into the conference championships, starting with the ACC. We got the Clemson Tigers taking on the Miami Hurricanes. Carson Beck, he is going to be 100% at this point in my eyes. I think that he's going to be gelling, fitting into the system very, very well. I think they will also take a late season loss to Pittsburgh on the road, given the cold weather atmosphere and the sleepwalk type of situation, because I think Pittsburgh could potentially be limping into that game off of a couple of tough games before that. But I think they're going to be motivated to try to spoil Miami's season. But Miami still gets here. Playing against a Clemson team, I have losing 2 games early and racking up a bunch of confidence and wins. Sometimes that could create some overconfidence. Sometimes you get a month of just not being tested to a degree that Miami can test you. This is the best offensive line in this conference. The secondary, from all accounts, has improved a ton. The front 7 has a ton of talent as well. It's all going to be up to the wide receivers in my eyes, which I think, especially by this point, will be good enough. I got the Miami Hurricanes winning the ACC. Mario Cristobal gets over the hump, punching their ticket into the college football playoff. Next up, we got the Big 12. Kansas State, Avery Johnson, Jace Brown, that connection there, Dylan Edwards, a really solid defense, a very, very good front 7, probably the best in the conference. They're playing against a Texas Tech team that is the transfer portal best team money could buy out of the Big 12. They're going to be a very fun team to watch, but for me to confidently pick this conference, I got to pick a coach and a team that I trust. I'm going with Kansas State to win the Big 12, punch their ticket into the college football playoff, and Texas Tech will 10-3 still be good enough. Will their resume be boosted up enough for them to get in that large spot? I guess we're going to have to see in the next video. Make sure you guys check that out. This is what you've all been waiting for. Ohio State, 11-1, right off the heels of losing in Ann Arbor to Michigan, is going to play Michigan, 10-2. 2 early losses against Oklahoma out of conference and then USC within the conference. If Ohio State goes into that game in Ann Arbor, in that situation, Michigan's 9-2, and Michigan's season could essentially be ended with a loss, and they punch their ticket into the playoff with a win and could potentially gather momentum to get into the top 6, maybe top 4, but certainly at the very minimum, get a home playoff game. That's what Michigan would have been playing for. And I think the pressure is going to be a lot on Ohio State. The nervousness that you get from Ryan Day is a lot in that game. But I think if you make it a week later rematch, that game is fresh. Those players and that talent is not letting it happen again. I am picking Ohio State to get their revenge for 5 years in a row of Michigan beating Ohio State, taking it out in Indy. I think Ohio State is going to beat Michigan in Indianapolis and maybe the biggest, most hyped up conference championship of all time. Ohio State's going to win this game if they get that rematch after losing in Ann Arbor. Finally, we got the SEC. 11-1, 11-1. The survivors of these conferences, we got Texas and Arch Manning versus Alabama. Here's the thing. Texas will not have, in my opinion, played a top 5 defense. Georgia could be, and that Georgia-Texas game, I think, will decide who goes to the conference championship, and I have Texas going on the road and getting revenge from last year. This is going to be a very, very tall task for Arch Manning. and those wide receivers to go up against this Alabama team. You got to deal with a killer pass rush. You're not going to be able to run the ball as effectively as you have been able to in most games up to this point. This is going to be the best defense they've played probably all season, but at the very least since Ohio State in week 1. And I think Alabama's offense will be playing their best football at this point. You see it with Kalen DeBoer coach teams. They played great football as the season progresses. You saw that year 1 at Washington, year 2 at Washington. You saw it at Fresno State, other than when Jake Haener was just banged up. I think Alabama wins the SEC championship, beating Texas and punching their ticket probably in a bye. But I think there's a very high likelihood that both these teams have a bye. All right, that does it for me here. We rally off with all the conference championships. You know some of the teams locked into the playoff. Then there's going to be some debate from my scenario that I'm going to break down in the next couple of days. Doing it on my breaks at work, working between videos tomorrow, because we will tomorrow be previewing a couple of games. Still haven't decided how I'm going to structure that, but we will be talking tomorrow about Kansas State and Iowa State and Hawaii and Stanford. Full in-depth breakdown. I'm ready. I got a brand new notebook for these game notes. I'm excited. I hope you are too. We are amped up over here at Bash's College Football Show. See you guys in the next video.